Go to 1-800-Flowers.com.
Find the perfect gift.
And wow the people you love.
Wow. This is amazing.
Whether you want to say happy birthday
So cute.
Or I love you.
I love you too. Thinking of you.
Wow.
go to 1-800-Flowers.com.
Celebrate the people you love.
Hi, I'm Jim McCann, founder of 1-800-Flowers. I'm not satisfied when I learn something new unless I share it forward. And so we created this podcast to continue that, to share forward the wonderful people we get to meet and most importantly get to learn from and make our lives richer and better. Together we'll cover the human experience. And for me, the human experience is foundational in the idea of relationships. The topics will be far-reaching, but common element you'll see here is it's all about relationships. So I invite you to join us on this journey. Come experience it with us, share your thoughts and ideas, and become part of our community. We'd love to have you.
Harris Faulkner, the award-winning anchor with Fox News, has covered thousands of notable figures and everyday people. It was those true life encounters of resilience, rescue, and so much more that led to her new book, Faith Still Moves Mountains, Miraculous Stories of the Healing Power of Prayer. Listen as Jim and Harris discuss stories of amazing women they've encountered and how faith can shine through.
So congratulations on the success of this book. Faith Still Moves Mountains is a New York Times #1 bestseller, doing great, I hear and see. And I really have enjoyed getting to go through your book a bunch, especially I was traveling domestically this past weekend, and I had several people come up to me while I was either in the airport or waiting to get on the plane, asking about the book. They saw the cover and asking about it. So it's really got a lot of buzz.
Yeah, I'm very blessed in that sense. I am on a divine assignment at this point to be a witness, as I have been my whole career as a journalist. And I feel like the Lord not only put it on my heart, but tasked me with being a witness and telling stories of other people's miracles. So I've loved every minute of the journey of this book. And part of it has been just even a renewal of faith for me personally.
Harris, I was so impressed reading about your early years, being an Army brat, having the amazing dad that you had, and his heroic career, 3 tours, if I recall correctly, 3 tours.
2, actually, yep.
2, yeah. Just an amazing career. Tell me, is faith more prevalent in the military community than in the general population?
Well, that was certainly my experience growing up. I mean,
Yep.
if you're protecting a country, you are dispatched to go fight war. People die in war. So in my household, as a very young one, even before the time I remember, I mean, my parents have told me more than I remember at this point because I wasn't born yet when my dad, was first in the military and was leaving for Vietnam. And I was 2 when he came home. My parents prayed for each other. I think for most of us, our faith starts when we're young kids, because that's when our parents take us to church. So it's the glory, the victory, and the pitfalls and the tribulations in our own lives that get us to figure out who we're going to be in faith, what our own faith walk is going to be like. But my faith walk as crawling began with my parents. My dad had a picture first of my mom in the cockpit of his fighter jet. And then when I was born, he had a picture of the 2 of us. And when he was risking his life for this nation as a fighter pilot in Vietnam, he was praying for us.
Mm-hmm.
He was saying to the Lord, let me get back to them. They will need me. Let me be there for them. Please keep my young baby and my beautiful wife safe. Knowing that someone prays for you, I think is just such a huge beginning of faith. There will be challenges that they don't even know how to pray about. And so when we fall away and lean back in, and then our children get to see what naturally happens in faith, and that is that God leans into us in that process because he gives us free choice. And when we choose him, he leans right into us. And in his timing and his will, things begin to happen that we couldn't even make happen for ourselves. And what I love talking about you, because everybody knows 1-800-Flowers. I mean, right? I mean, sometimes it's for a great occasion that we know your company, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes it is about heartbreak, and sometimes it is about loss. The Lord has continued to work through your life. I see it as a witness to you, if I could be so bold as to share what I observe about the company, about about the conversations that you've built with 1-800-Flowers. You've shown people that even in the depths we are connected. And there are plenty of people, I'm certain of it, who have connected with your company, and faith has been part of their journey too. I know that when I'm thinking of someone that I'm going to send something to as a gift, it's not about me. And in times of loss, I will pray and I'll say, Lord, what do you think they would need right now? Do you think I tend to send, when people lose someone they love, I tend to send a white and a blue or a white and a purple arrangement of flowers. I'm serious about this. I really gave this prayer and thought, because those are the colors on the spectrum of love and strength. You and your wife chose to reconnect and lean back into the Lord, just as I did.
You know, what we write about and what we talk about here a lot at Flowers, Harris, is that the secret of life and success is all about relationships. At the end of the day, we measure our happiness solely on the number of relationships and the depth of those relationships. I wonder what you think in terms of how faith aids and abets us in terms of starting relationships, investing in relationships, developing relationships. It seems that they're not easily separable.
I look to the power of prayer to help me make just about every decision in my life. You know, when I get up and get dressed in the morning, I don't need help with that necessarily, unless I'm going to talk at a mega church, as I did a few weeks ago after the book came out in Dallas. I prayed about
How was that?
I loved it. I loved every second, and I would not have seen myself in that role because I have not been called to prophesize. Through this book, I have been called to talk about the journey of faith. And I did pray about what I was going to wear that day. So, I mean, I invite the Lord in every aspect of my life.
Was it blue or purple?
It was red. A dark, deep red, by the way, because this was right in the holiday season too.
Yep.
So, you know, because of that, the aid that I get is through the decision making. And that decision making is often about who is closest to me. My special forces, my inner circle. I pray about that because you become, like, scientifically, the 5 people you spend most of your time with. So I was raised by a warrior, somebody who led squadrons and battalions. I understand that the people around you, those relationships, have just as much impact on you as your relationship with anybody else in your life.
And
so
do you
I'm particular, and sometimes I have to fire people in my stead. I have to fire them because we're not on the same path, but with love. I don't expect us all to be the same, but I'm on a divine assignment. So I'm very aware of my journey. I want people around me who understand that when I make decisions, I'm not going to be perfect, but what I'm seeking is not to be perfect in their eyes, but for the Lord to know that I'm mindful of my blessings and my choices, and to be a good steward of those opportunities. And I want people around me who respect that.
We put our heart into everything we do. We are farmers, bakers, florists, and makers who grow and create with a passion. 1-800-Flowers. Share with love.
We write a letter here. I do every Sunday to our community. And I started at the beginning of COVID, and it continues. And one letter I wrote several weeks ago was about 3 women that I have met, 2 that I'm close with, and another that I had recently met, who were moms who had losses in their life, or stress or challenge. And in each case, one, Kristen, I met her at a conference up in Nantucket, a conference called the Nantucket Project. And she had lost a 14-year-old son to suicide because he'd been cyberbullied. And she decided that she wasn't going to drown in sorrow, that she was going to turn this unbelievably negative experience and energy and turn it into a positive energy and do some good. So she's made it her mission to clean up the internet, particularly Facebook, with some of the other software packages that would sit on top of it, that would allow people to be particularly vicious and in an anonymous way. I think anonymity is the thing we have to most target there and get rid of. It reminded me, having met her and witnessed her story and felt her pain and felt her sense of accomplishment and her sense of mission, it reminded me of two other women in our lives. One who lost a son to a drug overdose. Her son got addicted to opioids. After some medical procedures, he was overprescribed. So she's made it her mission to change the laws in each and every state, because it has to be done state by state, about clinicians and their education around opioids, their prescriptive abilities and quantities, numbers. And she's now changed the law, I think, in 16 states,
How about
turning
that?
her loss into something very positive. And finally, a lady, Dina Colombo, who's on my board here at Flowers, a longtime friend. Her son got involved in high school with so many other kids with vaping. And frankly, up until a few years ago, Harris, I didn't know how big a problem this vaping issue was.
Yeah.
But she and three other moms in Manhattan got together, pooled their energy, their resources, their professional skills, and have put Juul, the primary company that selling vaping cartridges and vaping pipes and pens, put them on the ropes. They just had a $4.5 billion settlement. And just, it's four women who said, we're not going to take this. We're just going to organize ourselves. That's the term that we've taken using about the three moms that we wrote about. We're calling them amazing moms. And just like I know is happening to you now, Harris, has happened to us, that is, so many people in our community are writing to us about amazing moms that they know.
Oh, it's so
Adore
true.
theirs. And it's very exciting for us around here, because the stories are coming in quite heavy numbers now, and we can't help but read all of them. And we do a lot of sharing of the stories. And this is our favorite. This is the one that touched me the most this weekend. I took this stack home. It's really catching fire. And I'm sure the same thing is happening to you.
Oh.
With this book being out there, you are, I'm certain, overwhelmed by more stories that people are dying to
You're
share
right.
with you.
You're right, Jim. And, I'll take a flight and the person next to me will say, I just want to share with you if you have a moment. And I'm like, we've got 6 hours.
Which
What you
pace
got
did you
going on?
buy? Much more.
Oh no, yeah, definitely. But for this, we've got plenty of time always to hear you tell me about how faith has moved mountains in your life. And I have, and I keep in contact with people. I tell them, if you do a Bible study and you want to connect live on Facebook, I'm you. I've done digital prayer circles, and I will reach out to people in my social media and I'll say, look, if you need somebody to be a prayer partner, let's do a digital prayer circle right here on Twitter. Now, I have never known Twitter to be a space where we could necessarily go and it was positive. I mean, as a journalist, news, a lot of what I see on Twitter is very forensic. It's about the news, or it's a dumpster fire of meanness. So
Yes.
I love the fact that we can come together even in an unexpected space like that. And I can hear their stories of what they've been through to move the mountains in their lives, and how at some point, like you and I described our personal journeys with faith, they leaned out. And what they found is, yes, it still moves mountains. And I love hearing those stories.
We did a big exercise around here this year, Harris, where what is the core of what we do? What is the essence? And what we evolved to after many months of work led by one of our very talented board members, a fellow named Larry Zarin, was that at the end of the day, we coalesced around the idea that giving is the gift. And I think sharing, that woman sitting next to you on the airplane, her ability to share, you're sharing that moment and emotion with her, is foundational for relationships. And it's the sharing experience that she's giving of herself to tell you about someone in her life. And you just being receptive is giving of your time and your attention and your emotions. That is genuinely a gift of sharing.
I'm bold with my faith. I'm a journalist. People don't expect to hear this from me. I am unapologetically bold, because I've seen people at their highest and their lowest points.
Yes. We had that conversation here about you, wondering what you experienced in your you grew up in this unbelievable family circumstance, and boom, immediately decided and knew that you wanted a media career and have been in media your whole professional life. Where I don't expect faith is something people wear on their sleeves. I know I was chatting with Ainsley Earhart, your comrade there at Fox, and she told me that she's a victim of some backlash from time to time over the fact that she's so bold about her faith. Same for you?
Oh, definitely. Especially, I mean, I have been very fortunate in my career, and I've got 6 Emmys for journalism. So people know I do some hard news. And I've been asked the question over the last quarter century over and over, how do you cover a tragedy and then go home and sleep at night? Like, what do you do to heal? Now, I've said this my whole career, Jim, but it's more accepted now than it's ever been. I mean, I've had news directors tell me that I shouldn't talk about my faith.
I'm sure you did.
And you know what shocks me? I know so much. I mean, TMI.
That's okay to talk about.
But yeah, that's apparently you can talk about somebody's, sex life, but I can't tell you
Not
that
their
I believe
faith.
in God. Yeah. So it was my mission to be bold and unapologetic. And I knew that sooner or later I would be in a place where I wouldn't just be tolerated, but celebrated. Every now and then I'm reminded that there's a little bit more of the tolerated or even not tolerated out there than celebrated. But I don't care about that because my mom taught me to be the opposite. My dad taught me when things are negative and hateful, you be the light. You have the ability to do it, Harris. That's what my parents taught me. So when people are, hateful, I try to be the opposite of that. I do ask a lot of questions, and that's probably really annoying. Right?
It's my sister's birthday.
Go to 1-800-Flowers.com.
They have tons of great birthday gifts.
Wow.
Wow.
Happy birthday, baby.
Wow.
Yummy. I got to contain myself.
1-800-Flowers.
Celebrate the people you love.
Well, I hope you enjoyed what you heard, and I know I'll be sharing it forward. I hope you get to as well. Let's keep the conversation going. Follow me along on Twitter at Jim1800Flowers and on LinkedIn at Jim McCann. Hope to talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening to Celebrations Chatter. You can join our community by reaching out at chatter@celebrations.com. And while you're at it, tell us what topics you'd like us to explore here on the Celebrations Chatter podcast. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to share it forward.